So somehow the Pittsburgh Penguins won again last night, 6-2 over the Washington Capitals. It was another opportunistic game. The Pittsburgh Penguins are employing what people are calling a counter-attack approach, meaning that they just hold it out, they wait it out, and then they get you on the counter-attack, and they score when you're least expecting it. This is a way different from the way they played last year. Last year, they dominated from start to finish. They would hem teams in their own zone, and they would use their speed to break out of the rush and generate a lot of shots while giving up shots, but not giving up too many shots. They only think last year in the playoffs, they averaged 35 shots, 4 and 20 against a game, which is quite good. But we know that this year was going to be more tough because we don't have Chris Letang. It's very hard to generate shots when you can barely break out of your own zone. The Penguins don't have even maybe a number one defenseman that can do it right now. He is their guy. They're pretty much using a patchwork D of maybe like 3 and 4 defensemen. And Mike Sullivan, I understand who's trying to spread it out, and I like that approach, but the Penguins are really struggling to move. But because they have all these elite forwards, they're able to get quick strikes and score on the odd man rushes like they did yesterday. Even though they're giving up a lot of goals, the only one saving grace is that their goals, the shots that they're giving up are coming from the outside. They're not giving up a lot of high danger shots, whereas Penguins themselves are getting those high chance, high percent opportunities such as breakaways shorthanded that we saw last night, or plays off the rush. They're kind of playing the way that the Leafs played a couple years ago, which are a rush team getting goals off the rush and making the most of your chances, which is not the best way to play. It's not something that is good in the long run. It's not sustainable. It's not the way that Pittsburgh wants to play, and Mike Sullivan is aware of this. And the first period, I don't know what's going on, but they obviously think that their games start like an hour late. Mike Sullivan should tell them that the game starts an hour when it actually starts. And then when they come on the ice, it'll actually be like the game's already been on for half an hour and they'll come out and play the first period. Because their first periods have been abysmal. And, Fleury can't hang in there forever. And if he lets in a couple goals in the first, then they're already down by the 8 ball. And then they have to come back in the second, which they've been very good at. Even last year, they've been very good in second periods. And this year, I have noticed that they've come back a lot more, but it's been not nearly as bad as it has been in playoffs. I don't know what it is, but they gotta start games on time. And a lot of that could be to the fact that, yes, their defense is not great. And when you use someone like Letang to play so much, he eats up so many minutes of the first period. Other players are still trying to get a feel for it, but Letang's not been around for a few weeks now, so players should be getting used to it. That's a very strange thing. I don't know if that's personnel related or system related, but that's definitely something that they need to work on. But, you can tell how sloppy they are exiting out of their zone without Letang. And the Penguins are lucky that they have elite forwards that can finish. But at the same time, the shooting percentage is 13.38%, so that's not going to last. Fleury is playing out of his mind right now. So their PDO is like 108. If you don't know PDO, it's basically just measures luck, but it's shooting percentage plus save percentage. And the average is about 100, which is what the Penguins usually are. That's the mean. They're maybe a little bit more than that because they have all these elite players, so their shooting percentage will be a bit higher, but they're usually about 100, 102, which for a team of that caliber is average. They're at 108 right now, and the highest to win was 103, and that was Boston in 2011 to win the Cup. And that's because Tim Thomas had an incredible season in net. So even last year, the Penguins had an average shooting percentage of about 8, just over 8, which is what is normal for a team. And then Murray was very good. So Pittsburgh's going to go down to earth eventually. I don't see them riding this momentum all the way to the Cup. They've been thoroughly outplayed for the past 2 games. And if they continue to play this way, it's not going to go well. You can't rely on Fleury to save your ass every game. So Pittsburgh's got to work on getting better in the defensive zone because it has been very sloppy, but at the same time, the shots that they have been giving up, Fleury hasn't had to make like too many outstanding saves. He's just had to make solid saves, whereas Pittsburgh's had a lot of those rushes that Washington hasn't had. So at the same time, that's good, but they don't want to be giving up second and third opportunities, especially on the power play. Like the first game when Fleury had to make 5 saves in a row, like that's not the kind of thing you want to be giving up. So while not giving up any odd man rushes is good, you also don't want to give up too many shots in a row because Capitals will bury you if they get those. And even if you give up 50 shots, even if they're all bad shots, you don't want to be giving up that many shots. So the team has to make it easier on Fleury, but it is very noticeable without Letang, because last year Letang averaged 28 minutes a game in the playoffs, and it allowed everyone to sit into their proper role. Now everyone's sliding up a bit in the role that they maybe should not be playing in, and they don't look as fast, and it's more work for the forwards because they don't have someone that can get the puck to them as much, so they spend more time in their own zone. And so it just kind of creates a mess back there. Justin Schultz is your Chris Letang light, but he's not been used in that position for some reason. Brian Dumoulin's looked very solid. Owen Madden's looked pretty good, but neither of them can skate the way Letang can skate. Hainsey is not great for getting the puck up. I keep saying this, but Mark Streit really would be a great option for someone to get the puck up to the defense and help them break out of their zone and exit out of their zone, because you saw the game last night. Crosby was doing all the work on that goal to Gensel to exit out of the zone, or to Kessel, whoever that was. But normally that would be Letang going up there, getting to Crosby. So it's making it harder on the forwards. And when Mike Sullivan doesn't have the proper defense that are lined up, like he'd always play Letang with Crosby or whatever. He should play Schultz with Crosby. He doesn't have the proper defense lined up. It makes it hard on the forwards. Hainsey did get hurt last night, so if he's not good to go in, then hopefully Streit can come in, and I think that that'll make a big difference. Again, the Penguins got one player back, Hagelin, which is huge because Hagelin's very speedy, and that gives Washington fits. They struggled with that against Toronto, and he looked good again last night. He really made that. He played with Malkin and Kessel, which is a line that they're familiar with. No, actually, he played with Bonino. Yeah, he played with Bonino, something they're familiar with. He made the third line look better. But then they also lost Kunakl and Horny. Horny, obviously, is a big loss. Again, Pittsburgh this year also has an obsession with blocking shots. We've seen like 6 players get injured this way. In the playoffs, especially, they've had to block shots because they've not had the puck as much. Although the ice did tilt in their favor in the second and third. They're much better at getting the puck, and the puck possession, of course, is actually a lot higher. The shot attempts are much better than in the first, but they're blocking way too many shots, and that's when Hornquist got hurt again, just coming back from injury pretty recently. And then Kunakl also blocked a shot, and I mean, he's pretty replaceable. You can just plug Scott Wilson in there, but he's done that multiple times. And then you have Hainsey that took a shot off the head from Ovechkin, and that's not a guy you want to take the shot off the head to. So just when the Penguins get a player back and they're coming together, they lose 3 more to injury. So, it's typical Penguins game. Like, get a player back, lose 3 more to injury, somehow manage to get a win, but you really don't deserve it, and the Penguins are very lucky to be up 2-0 in this series. Fleury should never have to buy dinner when he goes out with the team ever again, because right now he has, along with Crosby, he's been saving their ass. But Pittsburgh's definitely got to get back to the way that they won the Cup last year, because this team does not look great right now. It's very scary to watch, especially in the first. The second and third, they tend to be much better, but last year they were dominant, and this year they don't have that. And I think not having Letang is a huge part of it. But there's also it's also something the way that the team's playing, because they have been giving up a lot of shots all year. And I mean, they are a very quick strike team. Like, they are going to score a lot and generate a lot of offense, but they have given up a lot of shots this year, more than last year, which is a bit odd. But it could be that maybe their defense, they didn't last year. They're actually lucky in that they had kind of the same defensive pairings all the way after Mike Sullivan took over. Whereas this year they've had a lot of mismatches because so many defense have been injured. So that could be a big part of it. But they definitely have not looked like the dominant, suffocating team that they were last year. And if you run into a team like Nashville in the final, that's going to be a problem, because that is an incredible team. Defensively, they know how to lock it down, and they can also score now, and Rene is playing very well. So that's something that Pittsburgh should work on. But they are up 2-0 in the series. They're in the driver's seat, but we all know what can happen. 2009, Pittsburgh was in the same position as Washington. Now, granted, they had not lost 2 at home; they lost 2 on the road, but they were still down 2-0 in the series, and then they came back, tied it up 2-2, and ended up winning the series in 7 games. So it's a bit different because Washington dropped those 2 at home, and Pittsburgh is amazing at home. But you still have to be aware that as Washington, and if any team can come back from a 2-0 deficit, it's going to be the Capitals. So, and Holtby, I don't think will be as bad as he was last game. That third goal by Holtby, he definitely should have had, but I don't think I would have pulled him. That was a very strange and panic move by Barry Trotz. I didn't really get that, but he's also not looked good in this series, which is how Pittsburgh had a lot. So please like it if you like, subscribe if you really like it, share with our friends, tell everyone, and I'll see you after the next game tomorrow night. All right, let's go Penguins.